Kia ora, I'm Chelsea Daniels, and this is The Front Page, a daily podcast presented by the New Zealand Herald. What does New Zealand and David Hasselhoff have in common? The answer is TV producer Alex Bringan. He's been hit with a raft of serious fraud charges and is the same guy whose production company, Stripe Studios, owes the Baywatch star money. Turns out he might owe a lot more people a lot more money. Today on The Front Page, NZ Herald media insider Shayne Currie is with us to take us through the rise and falls of this high-flying Kiwi producer. First off, Shayne, paint us a picture of Alex Bringan. Who is he? What did he build? And what shows is he credited with that we might recognise?
Well, thanks for having me, Chelsea. It's nice to sit down with you. Alex Bringan, he's been sort of the focus of some inquiries on my own behalf and, of course, from different agencies in New Zealand for the last couple of years. But intriguing character, a bit of a charmer, I'm told. I haven't personally met him, but I've interviewed lots of people who have. And he's UK-born, came to New Zealand in 2002 and started out actually in radio in New Zealand and had some roles at MediaWorks and the likes of More FM and Radio Live, but then moved into television and broadcasting and production, and eventually set up Stripe Studios in 2012. That was after establishing Choice TV, and which went on to become Eden Channel. But anyway, Alex himself, I've spoken to him briefly once on the telephone and had various emails, very brief emails. But despite that, I'm told he is a charmer, very well spoken, loves being around celebrities. And if you look up YouTube and other channels, you see some interviews that he has done himself, both on his own shows and with some overseas celebrities, Hollywood actors such as Gabriel Macht from Suits. And people like that he did for The Cafe, which was a show that he produced in New Zealand from 2016 to 2020.
I remember that one.
Yeah, that was on TV3 for a while, hosted by Mike Peru and Mel Homer. And so Alex has had tentacles, Alex Bringan's had tentacles in the New Zealand production and television sector in particular, quite extensively, right up to the time he left for LA in 2024.
Right, so tell me, what's he charged with? What's happening here? Why is he on your radar?
Yeah, so he established, as I say, Stripe Studios now more than 10 years ago. And Stripe Studios was based out of Ponsonby, Grey Lynn, out of small offices. He set up with Stripe Studios, he set up special vehicle companies for each individual show that he was producing. Now, Stripe Studios itself's done more than a dozen shows and TV shows and series, and some of them will be well known to some people. They were the likes of the Circus and Circus 2, Reunited, some travel shows with former All Blacks Stephen Donald and Israel Dagg. And he also was starting to establish two series featuring some very well-known Hollywood players and actors. One, David Hasselhoff, of course, of Knight Rider and Baywatch fame, and also a Netflix comedian, Eliza Schlesinger, who they both came to New Zealand, and those two shows that they were involved in with Stripe Studios unfortunately fell victim to some of the funding issues and now the charges that Alex Bringan is facing. So Alex Bringan is now facing 33 serious fraud office charges, and they relate to around 13 Stripe studio shows. They relate to almost $15 million, partly public funding that he received for those shows, or the screen production rebate that he received for some of those shows, and also around $10 million in private lending, mainly from Kiwi Bank and Fulcrum Finance.
Right, so you mentioned before he's obviously relocated to LA and kind of rebranded himself in some ways, right? Can you tell us about his Hollywood life?
Yeah, it's an intriguing life. I delved into this a couple of weeks ago in my media column. Alex left New Zealand in 2024 just as the serious fraud office had started investigating just how he was financing and funding and receiving funds for these 13 shows. But he's been in Los Angeles ever since, and I've tracked him down now to to Hollywood, where he has tried to establish himself and is trying to establish himself in the TV and film industry there. Now, he's living with another woman in Los Angeles. He was married in New Zealand to former TV3 reporter and now a very well-known Instagram personality, the one-handed baker, a.k.a. Rachel Hart. But that marriage is now over. That they've split up. Alex moved to Los Angeles, as I say, in 2024, and he's now living with a woman in Los Angeles called Darcy Penn, who's a part-time administrator. And so I've painted a picture for the media column of his new life. It's quite an upmarket life. He's living in an upmarket suburb in the Santa Monica foothills. As I say, he's tried to establish himself in the film and TV industry there. He set up a website called Second Hour Films. Up until recently, he had associated himself on that website, his website, to around another dozen shows in Los Angeles. But my subsequent investigations have found actually that while he was describing himself as a producer of some of these shows, the production companies say that was misleading, that he wasn't associated in that respect with those shows, and they've asked him to remove the references to their shows on his website.
How many are on his website now?
Well, as of today, Chelsea, and I've just checked this morning, 0. So it's just basically now a title on the website Second Hour Films. On his IMDb homepage, IMDb, for those who don't know, it is a very well-known movie database site, basically a LinkedIn, if you like, for the film and TV industry.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, and so Alex calls himself Alex James on that website. James is his middle name. And as of this morning, he's got another 7 shows that he says are in development or filming associated with himself. And these are shows that have promotional and marketing material alongside them. Some of them have been created by AI. And so just where those productions are at remains unclear.
In terms of IMDb, and I've always wondered this, do people, because you know how like Wikipedia, you can go on at yourself and edit something, and there are obviously people checking and stuff like that, but can I go on to IMDb and create myself a profile?
You can. And unlike Wikipedia, it seems IMDb there's a lot less, I guess. With Wikipedia, I've noticed, and I've noticed this in the Alex Bringan case, there are a lot of people editing that page at any one time and removing and adding details as news stories, come to the fore. IMDb seems a lot less, I guess, kind of interactive. Alex Bringan's bio right now is pretty brief. As I say, it's got 7 projects attached to his name. That's fluctuated over time. There was up to a dozen or more in recent times. I suspect, I don't have proof of this, but I suspect Alex himself has been editing his page to reflect the requests of these other production companies for him not to associate himself with them.
We had the chance to interview a major Hollywood star, Gabriel Marks, from the hit show Suits, and, well, we didn't end up doing it.
Yeah, that's right. Neither of us did it because our producer and our DIY expert, Alex, he went along, and by all accounts, it didn't go down particularly well with Gabriel.
Gabriel Marks is Harvey Specter from Suits, and it's a pleasure. It's an honour. And
you
probably...
are...
I'm Alex.
You're Alex.
Yes.
Yeah. I was told I was going to be talking with Mike and Mel.
Yeah, a bit awkward, sorry.
That's really uncool because, this all came together pretty quickly, as I heard, because I work hard and fast.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this interview until Mike and Mel actually come here and sit across from me in this boardroom. God damn it.
So his Stripe Media company that collapsed into liquidation in 2024, owing creditors upwards of $20 million. Were there any earlier red flags before this?
Not so much red flags. The way the serious fraud investigation came about initially is that the New Zealand Film Commission, which administers the screen production rebate, flagged concerns about what it called at the time an Auckland production company. It did not name Stripe. It was only in subsequent months that Stripe's name came out. It said in November 2023 that it had flagged concerns with the Serious Fraud Office about an Auckland production company and its use of the screen production rebate. And so the Serious Fraud Office has been investigating since that time. So the Serious Fraud Office's investigation's gone for more than 2 years. There's been a lot of political debate about the screen production rebate, and basically how that works is there's 2 rebates, one for local productions and one for international productions, and subject to various criteria, but producers can receive back cash up to 40% of the money they've spent on, in the case of local productions, or a 20 to 25% cash back for international productions. Now, it's designed to enhance the screen production industry, to bring productions to New Zealand, to make sure the industry is vibrant. As I say, a lot of political debate about it. The ACT Party, for instance, has been opposed to it, whereas National and under Nicola Willis, they've been very supportive in recent times for it.
Well, in terms of that, I mean, how do these allegations affect the industry, especially the local TV industry as a whole? I suppose at a grassroots level, it's already quite difficult to get something off the ground, right? And so when something like this happens or these charges come out, they must just be like, oh, no.
Yeah, it's not a great look, and already the Film Commission has come out and said it's made sure that over the last 2 or 3 years it's really tightened procedures and reviewed the way that the screen production rebate is administered. I think there are more questions to be asked there eventually once we understand what Alex Bringan's position is with the Serious Fraud Office charges. He's denied them, of course. We still don't know if he will come back to New Zealand to fight those charges, or whether Interpol needs to get involved and he is extradited to New Zealand. But they are very serious charges. There's a lot of money at stake. And so I think following that, and even in between, we'll understand a little bit more from the New Zealand Film Commission, just any changes it's made in terms of, I guess, monitoring the way that money is distributed. But you're right, Chelsea, in terms of, the industry is under a lot of pressure. The last thing it needs is sort of publicity about a producer facing these kind of charges. It's important, though, that the sunlight's on this case. Every industry will have, I guess, cases, bad eggs, cases that aren't great, but by and large, the New Zealand screen sector has a great reputation, both locally and globally. It's getting back onto its feet. There's a lot of issues that it's confronting in terms of, the global streamers and whether they need to contribute a lot more to the industry. This doesn't help.
What tipped you off about Alex Bringan?
Well, it's, what tipped us off originally was the New Zealand Film Commission's very brief statement in November 23 that it had referenced this production company in Auckland to the Serious Fraud Office. And from there, I started to pull a few strands, as did other media. But over the last 2 or 3 years, as Alex Bringan has dealt with other people, he has accused the New Zealand Film Commission of having a vendetta against him and changing the framework of its screen production rebate. The Film Commission's denied that. He's accused the Herald of having a vendetta against him. The Herald, we certainly stand by our reporting. We've been chasing him down for an interview for many years to hear his side of the story, and that offer still stands. But he is an intriguing character. He has the gift of the gab. He's a very confident person by all accounts. And so this story has all of the elements, really. It has, the David Hasselhoff and Eliza Schlesinger factors in terms of Hollywood. It has somebody who now lives in a different country trying to establish himself there and question him all kind of ways that he is doing that. And back here, it's, there's a lot of money involved, a lot of public money, a lot of private money featuring some of our own bigger names.
You've spoken to his ex-wife, is that right? What did she have to say?
No, unfortunately, Rachel Hart, she has declined interviews so far.
Right.
However, she has been on social media, lot stronger ways in recent times, and she's actually spoken out about her ex-husband. And one very telling post on Instagram and on Facebook just in the last 2 weeks where she quite clearly outlined what she described the definition of a narcissist and described the way that Alex Bringan was still using a lot of her own money while after he'd moved to Los Angeles, and now, as she has discovered, had already met another person and was now living with them and her 4 children in Los Angeles. 4 young children that Alex Bringan and Darcy Penn are living with in Los Angeles.
You've been around for a wee bit, Shayne. I hope you don't mind me saying.
You can tell from the hairstyle.
You're no spring chicken, but you've dealt with these media scandals before, right? How might this damage trust in the industry, and what sets this apart? You've already said the Hollywood actor David Hasselhoff's involved, but what makes you so dogged in your pursuit of someone like Alex Bringan?
I think for any journalist, I think getting to the bottom of allegations and seeking answers, I think is really important. And when it does involve so much, it's millions and millions of public money, and there are still a lot of individual creditors who are unlikely to see their money. And so, yes, there is. While the Serious Fraud Office charges cover almost $15 million, BDO, the receivers, have identified more than $20 million that is owed to creditors. And, that includes Kiwi Bank, Fulcrum Finance, as I say, individual creditors, IRD, and these big Hollywood names. And so for me, it's important that, sunlight is shown into these nooks and crannies, and making sure that another case like this doesn't unfold, and that public money is safe and is well accounted for. So that is partly it, but I'm also intrigued by Alex himself. Here is a guy who has put himself out there. He's created his own businesses. He's interviewed lots of people himself for his own shows. He's produced a lot of his own shows. And so, it has all the factors. If he's looking for a great story to tell, or a new TV series, I don't think you can go too far past the life and times of Alex Bringan.
Absolutely. And so when are we ever going to see this David Hasselhoff Travels New Zealand show? Is that ever going to see the light of day?
It has. The great news, Chelsea, is that 2 of the shows, and unfortunately there are a number of shows that haven't seen the light of day, but 2 of the shows have been picked up by another entertainment production company, and the David Hasselhoff show is now available, co-starring Rhys Darby, one of our best-known comedians, of course. And that was a travel show travelling the length of New Zealand. So that show is already available now on 3 Now. And the Shell Singer show that was just announced in the last couple of weeks has also been picked up by Perpetual Entertainment, already available. The first 2 episodes already available in Australia and shortly coming to New Zealand as well. So those shows have been saved. Still a question about just how much money is owed to the 2 stars. I'm sure, hopefully, they've got a little bit of appearance money, but probably not the full amount that they're owed.
Thanks for joining us, Shayne.
Thanks, Chelsea.
That's it for this episode of The Front Page. You can read more about today's stories and extensive news coverage at nzherald.co.nz. The Front Page is hosted and produced by me, Chelsea Daniels. Kane Dickey is our studio operator, Richard Martin, our producer and editor, and our executive producer is Jane Yee. Follow The Front Page on the iHeart app or wherever you get your podcasts, and join us next time for another look beyond the headlines.